Silence can be the loudest sound in a relationship. You know that feeling when someone you care about stops talking to you? When texts go unanswered, calls are ignored, and the person who once shared everything with you now shares nothing at all. That deafening silence is one of the most painful experiences we can face as human beings. But here's what most people don't realize. The Bible has been addressing this exact problem for thousands of years. And the wisdom it offers isn't just ancient philosophy. It's practical, powerful, and it works today just as it did centuries ago. Today, we're diving deep into what Scripture teaches us about restoring relationships when communication breaks down. What you're about to learn could transform not just one relationship, but every connection in your life. So let's get started. First, we need to understand why communication stops in the first place. The Bible gives us profound insight into this. In the book of Proverbs, we read that pride comes before destruction. And that's exactly what happens in most silent relationships. Pride builds a wall between two people. Think about the last time you stopped talking to someone. Was it really about what they did? Or was it about your wounded pride? Your hurt feelings? Your sense of being wronged? Most communication breakdowns aren't about the actual issue. They're about ego. James chapter 1 tells us to be quick to listen and slow to speak. But when communication stops, we've done the opposite. We've been quick to judge, quick to withdraw, and slow to understand. We've let our emotions dictate our actions instead of wisdom. Here's where it gets really interesting. Jesus gave us a specific formula for handling broken communication. In Matthew chapter 18, he outlines a clear process. First, go directly to the person. Don't gossip. Don't vent to others. Don't post cryptic messages on social media hoping they'll see them. Go directly to them. This seems obvious, but how many of us actually do it? We'd rather tell 10 other people about the problem than face the one person who can actually help solve it. That's human nature. But it's not biblical wisdom. The second step Jesus gives is equally important. If they won't listen, take one or two others along. Notice the progression here. You don't start with a crowd. You don't make it public. You handle it privately first, then gradually involve others only if necessary. This protects both people's dignity. It gives the relationship the best chance of healing. And it prevents the situation from becoming a spectacle that damages everyone involved. This is wisdom we desperately need in our social media age. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. What if you're the one who stopped communicating? What if you're the one giving someone the silent treatment? The Bible has something to say about that too. And it's not comfortable. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 26 says, "Don't let the sun go down on your anger." In other words, deal with conflict quickly. Don't let it fester. Don't let silence become your weapon. Because when you use silence as punishment, you're not just hurting the other person, you're poisoning yourself. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's not a biblical quote, but it perfectly captures what Scripture teaches about holding grudges. Every day you remain silent out of spite is a day you're choosing bitterness over peace. Now here's a truth that might surprise you. Sometimes silence isn't the problem. Sometimes it's the symptom. The real issue might be much deeper. Proverbs tells us that the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who is insight draws them out. What does that mean practically? It means surface communication isn't enough. If you want to restore a relationship, you need to understand what's really going on beneath the silence. Is it hurt? Fear? Shame? Misunderstanding? You can't fix what you don't understand. This is where prayer becomes absolutely essential. Before you try to restore communication with another person, you need to restore communication with God. Ask Him to show you your own heart first. Ask Him to reveal your blind spots, your contributions to the problem, your own pride. Psalm 139 says, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts." This kind of self-examination is painful. It's much easier to focus on what the other person did wrong. But biblical wisdom always starts with looking inward. Here's something practical you can do right now. Make a list of every relationship where communication has broken down. Don't justify it. Don't explain it. Just acknowledge it. Then beside each name, write one thing you could have done differently. Not what they should have done. What you could have done. This exercise is humbling. But humility is exactly what's needed to restore broken communication. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 5 tells us that God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Let's talk about timing. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 teaches us there is a time for everything. A time to be silent and a time to speak. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is give someone space. But there is a difference between giving space and giving up. How do you know which is which? Here's a good test. Are you waiting because you genuinely believe it's best for them? Or are you waiting because it's easier for you? Are you giving them time to heal? Or are you avoiding the discomfort of reconciliation? The Bible gives us another crucial principle. In Romans chapter 12 verse 18, Paul writes, "If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." Notice those qualifiers. If it is possible. As far as it depends on you. This means two things. First, you're responsible for your part, not theirs. You can't control whether they respond. You can only control whether you reach out. Second, some relationships may not be restored. And that's okay. Your job is to do what's right, not to guarantee results. But here's what you must never do. Never use scripture as a weapon. Don't send Bible verses to prove you're right. Don't quote Jesus to shame them. Don't use spiritual language to manipulate. That's not restoration. That's religious abuse. True biblical restoration comes from a heart that genuinely wants the other person's good. It comes from love, not from a need to be vindicated. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 describes this kind of love. It keeps no record of wrongs. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Let me share something that might challenge you. Sometimes God allows communication to break down because He wants to build something better. The silence isn't the end. It's the demolition phase before reconstruction. He's tearing down faulty foundations so He can build something stronger. Job experienced this. His friends stopped offering comfort and started offering accusations. Communication completely broke down. But in that silence, Job encountered God in a deeper way than ever before. The breakdown led to a breakthrough. Maybe that's what's happening in your situation. Maybe God is using this painful silence to teach you something you couldn't learn any other way. Maybe He's developing patience, or humility, or trust. Maybe He's showing you where you've been placing your security in people instead of in Him. Here's a practical step for restoration. Write a letter you don't send. Pour out everything you want to say. All the hurt, all the anger, all the confusion. Get it all out on paper. Then read it, pray over it, and rewrite it with grace and wisdom. This process helps you separate your emotions from your message. It helps you communicate truth without being cruel. It helps you say what needs to be said in a way that can actually be heard. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1 reminds us that a gentle answer turns away wrath. Now let's address a hard truth. Some relationships end not because of poor communication, but because of abuse, toxicity, or unrepentant sin. The Bible doesn't call us to remain in harmful situations. Wisdom knows the difference between a relationship worth fighting for and one you need to walk away from. If someone is abusive, manipulative, or consistently destructive, silence might be protection, not punishment. In that case, the biblical response isn't restoration. It's healthy boundaries. Matthew chapter 7 tells us not to throw pearls before swine. Some people aren't safe. But for relationships that are fundamentally healthy but temporarily broken, restoration is always worth pursuing. It won't be easy. It will require courage, humility, and persistence. But the reward is worth it. Few things bring more joy than a restored relationship. Here's your action plan. First, pray specifically for the relationship. Ask God to soften both hearts. Second, examine your own heart honestly. Take responsibility for your part. Third, reach out with humility and grace. Don't demand a response. Simply extend an olive branch. Fourth, be patient. Healing takes time. Don't rush the process. Fifth, be prepared for any outcome. They might respond positively. They might not respond at all. Either way, you've done what's right. You've obeyed biblical wisdom. Remember this. Communication isn't just about talking. It's about connection. And connection requires vulnerability. It requires risk. It requires the willingness to be heard again. But it also offers the possibility of something beautiful. Reconciliation, restoration, and renewed relationship. The Bible's final word on this subject is found in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. God has given us the ministry of reconciliation. That means restoring broken relationships isn't just a good idea. It's part of our calling as believers. We serve a God who specializes in making all things new. So whatever silent relationship you are facing today, know this. There is hope. There is wisdom. There is a path forward. It might not be easy. It might not be quick. But with God's help, with biblical wisdom, and with a humble heart, restoration is possible. Don't let pride keep you silent. Don't let fear keep you frozen. Don't let hurt keep you isolated. Take the first step today. Reach out. Speak up. Pursue peace. Because on the other side of that uncomfortable conversation might be the breakthrough you've been praying for. The silence doesn't have to be permanent. With God's wisdom, broken communication can be restored. Damaged relationships can be healed. And the connection you thought was lost forever can be found again. That's the power of biblical wisdom applied to real-life relationships.